Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And tomorrow is one of the most anticipated days of the season for NHL fans. July 1, NHL Free Agent Frenzy officially begins. There's going to be guys getting paid all kinds of money, changing cities, new teams. And I will be live all day on July 1. Talking about it with all of you fine folks, but a lot of you have been asking, Ace, who do you want, and blah, blah, blah. And while I have maintained for a few months now that I do not expect any major shakeups for our beloved New Jersey Devils this summer, there are some guys that I would love to have on this roster. Now, there's actually a lot of guys I would love to have, but there are three names for me personally that stand out above the rest that I think would be a tremendous fit for this Devils club for the 25-26 season and beyond. For how long depends on a lot of other variables, but would put us in a better position to push for that coveted fourth Stanley Cup in franchise history. And I broke out an old classic, the heavier, edgier, more violent t-shirt, because as you all know, I was very happy when Fitz kind of made this his motto for last season. And while the New Jersey Devils did in fact get heavier, edgier, more violent, bringing in some beef on the blue line, Johnny Kovacevic, Brendan Dillon, and then up front, Stefan Nason, Paul Cotter. We did get heavier, edgier, more violent, but in my opinion, not quite heavier, edgier, more violent enough. Not enough, and I do think you need this element in your top six. I've talked about it time and time again. It's great to have it on your blue line, which I believe we do have enough of at the moment. And it's great to have some in your bottom six. Again, I think that could be boosted a little bit as well. You absolutely need this element in your top six. As someone coined the phrase on this channel, and forgive me, I don't remember who it was. I would love to give you credit. Skrit. S-K-R-I-T. Skrit. A combination of skill and grit. This team needs the skrit. Heavier, edgier, more violent. You saw the playoffs. You saw the finals. The Florida Panthers are built for playoff warfare. And they are the three-time Eastern Conference champions and back-to-back Stanley Cup champions as a result. For anyone who's still in denial, you've been soundly defeated, clubbed over the head with the evidence. Yes, they have skill. They have a little bit of that finesse, but they also have a ton of skrit, can play that feisty game. They have the sandpaper. They have the guys willing to go to war, and you need this element to win. The Devils need to get better in that department. And for that reason, there are three guys, count them three, that I believe would be the best fit for the New Jersey Devils. And they range from somewhat completely unrealistic, I think, to somewhat realistic. And I'm going to start off with one that I've talked about in the past that is probably the most unlikely of the trio I have queued up here. And that is none other than Brad Marchand. My friends, this guy is a winner. He is a dog. Was doing it in Boston for years and years. And he reminds me kind of a Claude Lemieux type guy that everyone would love to have on their team and hate playing against. A lot of people kind of let those feelings cloud their judgment when talking about Marchand. The guy's a winner and a dog, period. Winner and a dog, period. A guy I wanted the Devils to try to get at the deadline last season, or this past season, when his name was being floated around. I didn't think we had a chance to get him, and I still don't think we really do, as I believe, he most likely will stay in Florida, and now there's rumors that Toronto's going to make a play for him. But if he does, in fact, hit free agency and his agent is taking calls, just like the Jonathan Toews situation, Fitzgerald has to drop a call and throw his name in the hat. Marshand is a win-now player for this team. I do believe this team should be firmly in win-now. Our best chance to win a cup likely will be in the next 2 years. Markey's here. He's a win-now goalie. Our core is aging, as you all know. Nico Hischier has 2 years left on his deal. Hopefully he retires a New Jersey Devil, but there's no guarantees of any of this. There's injury questions kind of looming around a bunch of guys, and the team should try to win now. No other move would signify win now like Brad Marchand. And we just take a quick look at his career stats. Getting it done in Boston all these years, he has an astonishing 14 20-goal seasons. 20-goal scorers don't grow on trees. He's done it 14 times, and he scored 30 goals 5 times. I mean, listen, this guy is scritty as they come. Skill and grit. In his 1,100 regular season games played in his career, he has 424 goals with 556 assists for 980 points. And he's nearly a .9 point-a-game player, a hair under a point a game. And what a career for Brad Marchand. I thought this guy was a Hall of Famer as of a couple years ago, in my opinion. And what he did with Florida this season fully cemented it, in my opinion. Obviously, Bill Zito, a cunning GM, guy who just makes the tough moves, does everything he can to improve his team, and you saw the Florida Panthers once again get back to the finals, win the cup. Brad Marchand, great playoff performer his whole career, continued it in South Beach, and he really was just a monster deadline acquisition. I don't know if the Panthers would have won that cup without him. They may have, but he played an instrumental part. We look at Marchand's career playoff numbers: 180 games played, 66 goals, 92 assists for 158 points. And there he is again, hovering around that 0.9 points a game, almost a point per game guy. And we look at the most recent campaign that just ended a few weeks back. 23 games for the Panthers. He had 10 goals and 10 assists for 20 points. A plus 17. This guy had overtime winners, game winners in regulation. I mean, he was just everywhere getting it done. People are crying about his age. Oh, he's old, this and that. I don't care how old this man is. I do not care, guys. Look what he just did. Everyone wants to predict, oh, that's it. That was his final, hurrah. Now he's going to fall apart. I'm not buying it whatsoever. I am not skittish about his age whatsoever. I believe he would be an amazing leader for this New Jersey Devils club, both on and off the ice. Could be a great third-line player and potentially crack the top 6 because of need. I mean, let's be realistic. Marshand would be, on most contending teams, a great third-line player. But the Devils, in my opinion, have 4 true top 6 players, and Marchand would have a very good chance to crack the top 6. I mean, it's just out of necessity. We don't have the extra 2 guys, the 5th and 6th true top 6 guys, and so you get a guy like that, he very well could play in your top 6, if not an amazing third-line player, but he's bringing the skilled grit, feisty, has heart, leader on and off the ice, has won at every level. Would love to have him here. Again, I don't think he's going to leave Florida, and I do think Toronto is going to make a play, but if he does hit free agency, I would slightly overpay for him. I really would. And for all the people using the age and, oh, that contract's going to age horribly, go win a cup and nothing else matters. Win a cup with this man, and I don't care what the contract is. It is irrelevant. Win a Stanley Cup. That is what we are here for. Win a cup. He's done it and been in playoff wars his whole life. Would love to get him here if he is available. Devils should try to move heaven and earth to get him. Again, I think it's a long shot, but I'll throw the name out there because a lot of people have asked me about him. And I've wanted this guy for years. We've missed a guy like this for a very long time, and he would be a very welcome addition to the New Jersey Devils. And again, money and all these things, he would have to facilitate some other trades to open up cap space. But if there's any world where he would even consider the Devils, you got to try, and I would love to see it. I don't expect it. Again, a little bit of a pipe dream scenario, but would love to see the Devils throw their name in the hat. Throw their name in the ring, try to get him, see what happens. But Toronto could make a play and blow everyone out of the water. Who knows? But something to keep an eye on. If he hits free agency, the rumors and storylines are going to be very interesting to watch as the day goes on. And then I go to what I would call another far-fetched pipe dream type scenario. His name has not been rumored in anything credible to my knowledge, but you never know. And it seems like the writing is on the wall. And I am looking at the Buffalo Sabres and their star, Tage Thompson. Oh, I love this kid. I mean, I felt bad for him. He got snubbed off the Four Nations roster last season for Team USA. He 100% should have been on. He just scored an overtime gold medal clincher in the World Championships about a month or so ago. And I love Tage. I've liked him for a while. Again, no rumors reporting that he's on the move, but you saw Paterka just get traded. Buffalo is kind of in complete disarray. My heart goes out to their fans. They've been a mess for quite some time. And I'd have to imagine that Tage Thompson would welcome moving on from there, as well as some other guys. And who knows? Maybe they're going to clutch onto him and continue to try to build around him, but he's continuing to age. Buffalo is not showing much sign of improvement. And so I would love to see Fitzy drop a call to Buffalo and see if he could force their hand. I'll get to it in a second, but we quickly look at Tage Thompson's career stats. 448 games played, 176 goals, 149 assists for 325 points. He's hovering around that 0.8 or so points per game for his career. He has scored 30 goals now 3 times, 40 goals twice. He just missed the 30 goals in 23-24 with the 29. But 0.8 points per game, a big boy. Last season had 44 goals and 28 assists for 72 points in 76 games. Super close to that point per game. And he's a big guy. And that's what I feel like this team desperately has needed, some size up front. A lot of people have, again, tried to downplay the notion of size and power, but we have a lot of redundant type players. If you're being honest and you look at the Devils, especially in the top 6, You say a lot of these guys, have skill, have finesse, but they are missing some size and power. I would love to see it injected into the lineup. If you go back to our beloved New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup teams, when you look at the forwards, there is at least a few of these big, powerful men that get it done, especially come playoff time. The Devils really don't have anyone outside of Timo Meier, in my opinion. Certainly not in the top 6. Tage Thompson is listed at 6'6", 220. What a beast. An absolute beast. Would love to see him added. I think him playing on Jack's wing would be just must-see television. And would love to see the Devils at least inquire if he's available. And if they are, I do think we have the pieces. I'll get to that in a minute. But aside from being just a phenomenal player and an absolute just Hercules, Tage Thompson has 5 years left on his contract at a beautiful cap hit of $7.142 million. And I've talked about this time and time again as well. With free agency and this new cap era and the cap going up and the cap continuing to go up with the escalation, guys are going to start getting crazy money. And to have Tage Thompson for 5 more seasons locked up at a $7.1 million cap hit, in a couple years, this very well may be one of the best value contracts in the league. A point per game, absolute monster, can play center or wing, 6'6", 220, nearly a point a game for a hair over $7 million. I mean, wow. Wow. And obviously, he would be super valuable in the market. Tons of teams would love to add his services. And especially, again, given that he's locked up for 5 more years at an absolute steal of a contract, he certainly would be coveted by tons of teams. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, what would we have to trade? I obviously would prefer to keep our core intact and not break it up just yet. I do think this might be the last chance for this core. I think if they have another dud of a season coming up in 25-26, Fitz or whoever the GM is at that time may have to make some hard moves. They really might have to sit back and look in the mirror, look at this team and say, is this core going to get it done? I know a lot of you are already down on the core. I do still believe in this core, but I do think, as I've said for a very long time, that they need to be insulated with some of the correct complementary players to get them over the hump. The core alone is not going to get it done, and I feel like a guy like Tage Thompson added to the core we have in place would be phenomenal stuff. So I would prefer, obviously, not to trade any of our core players in a potential deal to get him. Now, if it came down to it and there was a deal on the table and it included one of the guys from the core, depending on all the other variables and specifics of the deal, I may consider it. I wouldn't say it's a definitive no, because I do think Tage Thompson is a franchise-type player and can bring your team to the next level, and especially if we were able to add him without moving anybody from the core. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, what would you use in a trade to potentially get him and still keep the core intact? And the answer is quite simple, in my opinion. Now, obviously, with the money, either Dougie, Palat, something would have to go. In addition to a guy like Mercer, I think would have to be part of a deal like this. And I've talked about Dawson Mercer. I really do like him. But if you can get a clear upgrade for a guy like Thompson, you have to look at it. And so in this particular scenario, a deal for Tage Thompson to keep the core intact, I think would look something like, and again, this is just speculation, and I'm not putting this out there as a rumor. So for people, don't start flaming me and say, oh, you're starting rumors, this and that. These are pipe dreams / somewhat rooted in reality dreams that I do think there is a clear path to if he's available. And so I will finish there with, to keep the core intact and land a guy like Tage, I think it starts with a guy like Mercer, obviously, probably a 26 first-round pick, potentially the 27 first-round pick, and then probably a guy like Nemitz or Casey. Would that be enough, given the type of player he is, with the term he has left at the amazing value? It still might not even be enough, but I do think a package consisting of Mercer, Nemitz, or Casey, and 2 first-round picks at least puts you in the conversation, or at least gets the conversation going. And now, I think that's a deal where if Buffalo would take a package like that, you must do it. You absolutely must do it. And again, if a core guy is requested by them, I'd have to look at the specifics. Again, I would love to see him come here in a deal that left all of our core pieces in place and we traded, Mercer, futures, whatever it is. But I don't think it's that crazy. If I'm Fitzy, I'm calling Buffalo. I am trying my hardest to pry Tage Thompson away and seeing if I could do it without touching the core pieces that are already here. I mean, if the core is still here, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meier, and now you add Tage Thompson, that might be arguably the best top 5 in the league, or at least in the top few teams in terms of a top 5. I mean, that is a tremendous top 5. And then at that point, I wouldn't even care who the sixth guy in the top 6 would be, if I'm being honest. I mean, that is just such a tremendous top 5 that hopefully, somebody could slide into the top 6 and just not be terrible and contribute in some way. But Tage Thompson added to the existing core, I think that'd be absolutely beautiful. 6'6", 220, uses his size, a true power forward. I think I would love to see him on this team. Might not be realistic, but if I'm Fitz, I am placing the call. We saw Paterka shipped out. Maybe guys in Buffalo are unhappy. Maybe they're reevaluating their real timeline and their whole kind of rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to pry away Tage Thompson if I'm Fitzy for sure. Would love to see it. He's super high on my list. And then I go to another Buffalo Sabre. Again, I hate to, maybe sadden Sabres fans with all this talk of pilfering their roster. But another guy I would absolutely love on this roster that I think is far more realistic than Tage Thompson, and perhaps the most realistic want of all the guys I'm mentioning here, Alex Tuch. Another monster of a man, 6'4", 216, come on down. We need some power and size in that forward group. Like I said, another guy that you immediately add to Jack Hughes' wing, and you say, wow, what do we have here? We have some size and power in this top 6, aside from Timo Meier, who I feel like is the only guy that fits the bill. We look at Tuch's stats, 536 games played, 167 career goals, 215 assists for 382 points. Obviously around 0.7 or so points per game, not as high as Thompson, but I feel way more realistic than Thompson. He might want out of Buffalo. Again, who knows what's going on there. Last season, Tuch had 36 goals and 31 assists for 67 points. Very nice season for him. A couple years ago in 22-23, he had 36 and 43 for 79 points. And so you see the potential is there. The past 3 seasons, he's been averaging a good chunk of production here. And on a top line with Jack Hughes, could he be a perennial 70 to 80 point guy? I think he could. Again, monster of a man. Would love to see him here. And we look at his contract, very different scenario than Tage Thompson. He has 1 year left. He's entering the last year of his deal at a cap hit of $4.75 million, which is an absolute steal for what he brings. And obviously, he will be looking for a new deal after that. Given the new cap climate, I don't know. Realistically, he's going to be getting a massive raise. I would think a guy like Tuch, depending on what he does in his final season of his deal here, assuming he's in that 60 to 70 point range and all the other things that he could bring to your team, I'd imagine he'd be looking for a deal at around $9 million. Again, guys, you have to reprogram your brains. $9 million this summer or next summer or any summer going forward is not the same era and time as when Jack Hughes signed his $8 million deal. A lot of you like to use the Jack Hughes contract as a benchmark, and it's like, oh, Jack signed for 8 and no one can make more, or measure guys against Jack Hughes. That deal was signed years ago. The cap was way lower. The cap is going to continue to go up. And so $9 million for Tuch after next season would probably be a pretty damn good deal, and one I would be willing to pay if we were able to get him this year. And now, again, a guy like Tuch, is he available? Is he not? I don't know. If I'm Fitz, I'm calling Buffalo, and I'm asking about Thompson and Tuch. A lot of you have been like, you want both of them. I mean, that would be completely insane. I can never see that happening. That would be a massive blockbuster trade that would definitely include at least one player from our current core and all kinds of other futures and prospects. I don't know that they want to do that just yet, but I'm happy with either one of them, and I'm certainly happy with Tuch, and I think he might be slightly more attainable given the player he is and his contract scenario versus Thompson. I just think, it would be kind of crazy for Buffalo to unload him, but you never know. You could twist their arm. But back to Tuch. I would be very interested in Tuch. I would make the call, and I certainly would be trying to force Buffalo's hand. And now, I wouldn't want to trade a core piece for him either. Obviously, I like this core. I think they deserve, at a minimum, one more shot. One more crack at it. If they could stay healthy and some of these complementary players are brought in, I do believe this core could go on a decent run. But they need the correct guys brought in around them, and I think Tuch fits the bill beautifully as well. A trade for him could be something... guessing on a trade for him, I don't know. I would imagine a guy like Mercer and a first might even be enough to get it done. Maybe Mercer, a first, and another lower-level prospect, or a second. I don't really know. But that's another deal I certainly would do with ease. Again, I don't want to trade Mercer. I think he has value to this team. I think a lot of the fans are down on him because they had unrealistic expectations. He had that nearly 60-point season a couple years ago, and everyone just thought that was going to be it from there on out. But he's very useful. Very useful. Penalty kill, power play, late in games. You could throw him out there in any scenario and trust him, but the reality is he is a little bit of a redundant type player in that he is a somewhat smaller forward, and we have an abundance of them, and it's time to try to maybe trade a guy like him in a package to bring in one of these beefy warriors. Tuch at 6'4", 216. Oh, my God, I would love it. Him on Jack's wing would be phenomenal as well. And so I like Mercer just to, clear the air on that. I've defended him all season long, but in reality, he is one of our most valuable pieces that could be involved in a trade without breaking up the core. That's just the reality. He has 2 more years left on his deal at $4 million. I think other teams would see tremendous value in him. A change of scenery could do wonders for him. I think he could potentially slot in well in a lot of teams' top 6 and maybe take that next step in his career. But I don't know. Who knows? But I think there is a path to one of those coveted Buffalo Sabres. I would think Tuch is more likely, obviously. Again, Thompson, a little bit of a different tier of player, and his contract is just beautiful for 5 more years. And so he would fetch a ton, but we have the pieces to make a move if we wanted to. But Tuch, I think that could be a sneaky one where if you call Buffalo, you might be able to force their hand, and I certainly would be interested, and I think we have the pieces, and it wouldn't be nearly as costly as some of these other guys. Tuch, high on my list. I said a lot here, guys. Wow. But these are 3 of my dream-type additions for the Devils. Brad Marchand, Tage Thompson, Tuch. I would love any of the 3. I think Tuch by far is the most likely based on all the variables I just mentioned. Marshand, I make a pitch to his agent. I don't think we'd even be on his radar unless we severely overpaid, which I wouldn't want to do. I would overpay a little bit, and I don't know exactly what that number is. I'd have to look. But none of this could happen without some sort of salary being moved out one way or another in a different deal, and then including a guy like Mercer to get rid of that $4 million in a potential deal for a guy like Tuch or Thompson. But wow, it's nice to dream. It's nice to dream. I know a lot of you would love Tuch or Thompson as well, but I said a lot here. Let me know what you think about any of this in the comments. Anything, everything New Jersey Devils hockey, just throw it out there in the comments. This video is coming out on June 30th, the night or afternoon, I should say, before free agency. I will be on live probably the majority of the day on July 1, watching the free agency ticker and enjoying the frenzy and talking with all of you. Hopefully we have some fans of other clubs join us as well, not just Devils fans. But as a Devils fan, I'm not expecting a lot. I thought it was going to be a Luke Hughes extension and kind of a patchwork bottom 6 repair mission for this summer. But I could be wrong. And again, Palat and Dougie have a 10-team pre-approved trade list that kicks in tomorrow, and so both of those guys will become much easier to move. Does Fitch try to move one or both of them? There's tons of the Quinn Hughes thing is still kind of floating out there in the ether. The Robertson rumors, again, we don't know how credible those were. Is there any other guys that haven't really been on anyone's radar that the Devils are looking at? We don't know, but we will find out tomorrow. But let me know what you guys think about any of this. Do you guys like these guys? What other guys are you potentially hoping for? Don't say Mitch Marner. I think that's just completely ridiculous for so many reasons that I've already talked about. But anything, everything, Devils hockey, free agency, throw it out there in the comments. I enjoy talking to all of you. I'll be back soon. Depending on when you're watching this, tonight, which is June 30th, you might be watching this after, but if you're catching it beforehand, June 30th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be going live with the Uncle Puckers, a New Jersey Devils podcast that I enjoy watching from time to time when I have some downtime. I always like hearing differing opinions about the Devils and all of the things, especially in the offseason. And I will be on with them 6:30 tonight. And if you're watching this after, it'll be on the live tab of the channel forever. And so if you don't see it live, you can catch the replay. But I'll be back soon, guys. I am just hoping, like the rest of you, that Fitzy makes some impactful moves on July 1 or, July 2nd, maybe. But most of the time they happen on July 1. But that's it. That's it. I'll be back soon. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.